All right, everyone. Remember when Bill Clinton used to sit down with the media, or even W. Bush occasionally did this, sort of towards the end of his presidency when the press grew balls and would question him? Remember when they used to chastise the press for lying about them, or they said something they didn't like, or they supported a Democrat or a Republican, whoever's not the president at the time? You remember how nobody ever claimed that they were challenging the First Amendment or that it was tyranny? Now, look at Trump. Trump doesn't even directly chastise them. He makes mean tweets, so-called mean, about people who are essentially calling him Adolf Hitler. And he's an enemy of the free press because he goes after the cable news or the New York Times or something. Now, of course, the press is not just cable news. I've explained this a dozen times. I'm part of the press. Most of you are part of the press. If you made a video, if you made a blog post, you've engaged in an activity of the press. The press isn't the press corps. The press isn't people with a press pass. The press isn't people with a journalism degree and a six-figure salary and cap fucking teeth. The press is simply you're communicating with others in a form other than, hey, it's very interpersonal. That's speech. The press is everything else. Literally the printing press, the distribution of information through other means, video, through any other media. Literally, that's what media means. Think about it. Through different mediums, different forms of media, books, videos, music, art. Art is expressive, supposedly. In some cases, that's actually true. So Trump has come out in the wake of the Korea summit. And he says, well, things went well. Korea's not a nuclear threat anymore. And he gets attacked by especially MSNBC and CNN because they don't like him. He doesn't sit down with interviews for them. He scoops them by using Twitter. And they get pissed off because CNN's ratings are down by 30% last year. They're still falling now. They're basically plummeting. They're going to have to lay off a bunch of people probably. Their profit margin can't be nearly as high as it needs to be to sustain their current size. So Trump comes out and says the Korean deal was a success. We were getting our power mains, the cross-border sort of propaganda broadcasts from the south to the north to the south, they've ended. Moon and Kim have met. We're going to meet probably further. Maybe I'll go to Pyongyang. Maybe he'll come to D.C. Whatever happens, it'll be great. And the legacy media comes out, basically calls him tyrannical and says, well, this deal, he made too many concessions. Or he didn't get enough concessions from North Korea. Or it doesn't matter, don't even talk about the nuke test site being destroyed because, they were already going to destroy it, which is half true. When Trump comes out with this tweet and attacks him and says that they're basically lying, that it's the fake news, and specifically he called them out and said, the greatest enemy of the United States at this point is the fake news. He's mostly right about that. The only reason he's not fully right is that he's only specifically talking about CNN and MSNBC. Well, Fox is basically the same. Let's not mince words. Trump does mollycoddle Fox News. Absolutely. And Breitbart. He coddles their outlets despite the fact that they're still part of the legacy media. In Breitbart's case, it's more of the mollusk media, which is sort of the funny term for the missing link media. That is, technically independent groups that are nonetheless corporatized in form. Rebel News, something like that. Even an InfoWars, in all honesty, would be part of that media. I just happen to favor them a little bit more because it's a little more out there. It's more entertaining at the very least. And Breitbart tries to be very dry, very professionalistic. Meanwhile, Alex Jones, he's like, yeah, some of what I do is satire. It's pretty funny. And that's true. Yeah, watching people from Sandy Hook try to sue Alex Jones is like surreal. It's like, you're not going to be able to pull this off, dude. He'll settle out of court maybe and give you some money, but you're never going to win a court case for defamation on behalf of somebody who's been dead for some time. You're not going to be able to do that. It's like saying, well, if you say Mark Twain is gay, then all of a sudden Mark Twain's distant relatives are going to sue you for defaming Mark Twain. It's just not going to happen, dude. There's no way you're going to be able to prove defamation anyway in a malicious sense, so you should let these cases go. Donald Trump succeeded with the Korea deal. That is true, and it appears that most people agree. I haven't seen any specific polling. I don't think CNN wants to conduct a poll on it, because I think they would find overwhelming support for the Korea summit and for continued meetings with Kim Jong-un. Meanwhile, they're trying to say, well, Kim Jong-un, human rights abuses, therefore Trump shouldn't meet with him. Well, he didn't have a problem when he went to Saudi Arabia. He didn't have a problem when Obama went to all of these nations with tin horn dictators and met with them. If Obama had gone to Venezuela, which is the most dangerous country in the world now, and met with Maduro and said, oh, socialism, we should use socialism here, you would have fawned over him. You wouldn't have called that problematic. You would have thought that it was funny. At worst, you probably would have agreed with him. Meanwhile, Trump is trying to create fucking peace in an area where you've got rogue nuclear weapons. And people are acting like it's problematic, but these same people literally said that he was going to cause a nuclear war a little more than 6 months ago. They said that when he was being aggressive with Kim Jong-un, they're like, oh my god, it's going to cause World War III. We're all going to die. Then when he shakes his hand and says, well, he's a redeemable character. He's not an irredeemable or a deplorable. And he's willing to meet with him and try to get something done. This is bad too, because now he's mollycoddling this dangerous dictatorial personality, this fucking psychopath. Yeah, that's pretty fake news, dude. That's certainly hypocritical double standard. Again, if Obama had been doing this, you would have fawned over him both ways. You would have said, thank goodness Obama's willing to stand up to North Korea. And then if he met with him and shook his hand, he said, thank goodness Obama's a peacemaker. He should get another Nobel Prize. Meanwhile, some Norwegian lawmakers are calling on Trump to get the Nobel Prize. While he certainly should, by the Nobel Committee's own rules. And it should be joint with like Jinping and Moon and Kim Jong-un. While it should be, while technically he should, I don't think he should accept it if they do try to offer it to him. I would totally snub them. If I were Trump, I wouldn't even give him the time of day. I'd say, hey, you gave it to Obama and it didn't mean anything then. It wouldn't mean anything now. I'll accept the money, though. I'll give it to veterans charities or something. That's what I would do. And it'd be a popular move if he did. Just tell him to fuck off, because they should. The Nobel Prize means absolutely nothing. Yeah. They're calling Trump tyrannical. They're saying, well, he attacks the First Amendment. So he attacks the First Amendment by defending himself. So in other words, like with me, like BuzzFeed has defamed me openly before. So when I criticize them, am I attacking their First Amendment rights or am I exercising my own? The fact that Trump is in elected office doesn't mean he can't criticize the cable news press. He's only criticizing two outlets. He's not criticizing everyone. He's not criticizing me and calling me fake news. He's not criticizing 99% of all liberal outlets that exist and don't like him. He's only talking about CNN and MSNBC. He mainly has rows with the cable news media because they have larger audiences. They're dying off, they're shrinking. The total pool of people that gives a fuck about CNN is an ever-declining number, but they are still larger singularly than any single alt media outlets. That is definitely true. So if he's going to attack anything, he's going to attack the top. Just sort of makes sense. But anyway, I think Trump has done a good thing with Korea. I think he'll continue to do good things on this. I've been critical of Trump because I'm not a Republican. I'm not a demagogue sort of character. There are things that Trump has done that I've definitely disapproved of. Maybe the Syria strikes, his suggestion of bringing back the CIA black sites, the fact that he didn't stand in the way of certain aspects of surveillance that have now crept in the wake of Obama, basically opening that can of worms in the wake of Bush, planting the seeds of evil as far as the NSA goes. That's definitely true, but on the Korea deal, I can't find anything that he's done that I disagree with. What, we're not supposed to conduct any form of diplomacy? We've tried for 65 fucking years to shut North Korea out and not do diplomacy with them. The one time we actually tried, Bill Clinton gave them nuclear material and started this whole problem. Therein lies the problem. Clinton failed, Bush failed, and Obama failed. 3 presidents in a row failed to rein in the North Koreans and prevent them from achieving nuclear weapons. And all this time, they've been developing more and more. Now you've finally got at least the vague notion of denuclearization. There has never been a time since North Korea began trying to obtain nuclear material that has ever alluded to the prospect of denuclearizing unless there were draconian steps taken. The U.S. must leave the peninsula. South Korea must accept Juche and stuff that's never going to happen. Otherwise, we will burn Japan, we will burn South Korea, we will destroy those Chinese traitors because they've stabbed Kim Jong-un in the back. That's basically the rhetoric you got, up until a few months ago. Now everything looks pretty calm. Now it could backslide. There has to be another summit or something. Maybe that happens. But at least there's reason to be optimistic, which is more than we can say over the last, few decades. Yeah, the last time it was this optimistic, North Korea didn't have a nuclear program, prior to Bill Clinton building it for them. Prior to him making the biggest foreign policy mistake of the fucking century. It's essentially what it boils down to. And then, of course, you have Kim Jong-il might get an atomic weapon. And, he gets the atom bomb, he dies, he keels over, and Kim Jong-un takes control. Bush and Obama didn't know how to handle him. Trump apparently does. Look, he managed to get a summit, and in a neutral country. It went off well. The North Korean media right now is showing pictures of them together. It's more than you can say for anything since Clinton, at least. At the very least, he's eclipsed the last 3 presidents on foreign policy already. Already, in the first 2 years of his presidency, he's managed to eclipse the likes of Obama or Bush. You know, Bush is big success, and most people don't know this unless they literally studied poli-sci. The biggest successes of Bush were all in Africa, with tightening our ties to African nations. Like, there's that famous clip of him doing like the tribal dance there, and he was obviously legitimately overjoyed at the time. Like, he was having a great time because he was among other unelected officials. So it's pretty funny. Now, I have great faith that Trump will do the right thing with regards to North Korea. So far, he's doing a good job. I don't understand how anyone can, with a straight face, still declare him to be like a horrible, bigoted tyrant. He hates the First Amendment. He hates the United States. He's a Putin's pawn. We're stronger than Russia by far and growing stronger every day thanks to Donald Trump's fiscal policies alone. And it looks like we might avoid a nuclear conflict. Isn't that wonderful? No, say the Bill Maher's. I'm praying for a nuclear war so that Trump gets impeached. It's basically what it boils down to. It's a bunch of malarkey, really. That's about all. Peace out.